Penn State took on Northwestern last Saturday in a typical gritty, not pretty matchup for the Nittany Lions. Despite an ugly first half, Penn State came out guns blazing in the second half to propel them to a 41-13 victory over the now 2-3 Wildcats. Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Cailey Thalman alongside Lauren Harth and Michael Landis. Penn State's defense has looked stellar all season, especially in their last two matchups. Against Iowa, the blue and white held the Hawkeyes to just 4 first downs. And against Northwestern, Penn State held the Wildcats to just 3 points in the second half. The Nittany Lions improved to 5-0 on their season heading into the bye week, following the win on the road, and remained at 6th in the AP polls. Let's break down their performance. So, Michael, Penn State looked really great on the defensive side against Northwestern, but offensively, it was a little bit shocking how they started that first half. Drew Aller has been good, not great yet all season, and that really showed, especially in the first half against Northwestern. What did you think about their offensive performance?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were taken aback by their performance. The whole game, honestly, but especially in the first half. Aller just didn't really look like himself. In his home games that he's played so far this season, he's looked amazing. But on the road so far against these Big Ten teams, he has seemed to struggle, especially early. In this game, it really showed. He was missing some easy throws. He missed Keandre Lambert-Smith a couple times. He missed Theo Johnson for an easy touchdown. He just wasn't really looking like himself. He ended up the game 18 of 33. And I don't know what it was. I think it was a lot of nerves because they were easy check down throws that he was missing that he was used to be hitting in these games. And I think there is a lot of cause for concern, but I'm not that concerned because of what I just said. It's his second road game as the starter for Penn State. I'm not extremely concerned. He got back into it in the second half. He actually led this offense. Obviously they ended up crushing them. That was the total score. But I think for Aller, the biggest thing was no turnovers. Nobody talks about that a lot. They only look at the stats. They only look at passing yards and touchdowns. He had no turnovers. If he's able to continue that kind of streak, Penn State's offense is going to excel.
Definitely, no turnovers is key to the success in an offense. And although, they started out slow, I would have never guessed a 3-3 first quarter and a 10-10 at halftime. But they come out with those big explosive plays and energy in the second half that they're scoring 31 points. They just need that energy. They come out in the second half, in the first half for the whole game.
And Lauren, you mentioned explosive plays. I want to see more explosive plays from this Penn State offense. Drew Aller has the capability to throw the ball and throw the ball far. And we haven't seen that yet from the Nittany Lions. And that is something I really want to see going forward, especially against teams like Michigan and Ohio State, where slow starts are not going to be a possibility that lead to a win against teams like that. So that's definitely something I want to see going forward. Like you both said, the turnovers thing is huge. The fact that there have been no offensive turnovers so far this season is remarkable, honestly, and they are the only team in the NCAA to do that so far this season. So that's a very strong point. And the other thing is they put up 31 points in the second half despite the slow start that they had, and that is definitely a high point for Penn State. They started off really slow, but they were really able to bounce back in that second half. Now, we talk about negatives in terms of the offense in that game. A positive was the defense. Come on, Penn State's defense has looked exceptional so far this season against in every single game they've played, especially in their last two against Iowa and Northwestern. Lauren, what do you think of their defense and what has stood out to you so far?
I think arguably this is the best defense in college football. What other teams are shutting out another AP top 25 team in a game? They've got notable names. Abdul Carter, just one of the many stellar defensive players. And they had 7 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, and they forced the Northwestern quarterback, Ben Bryant, to just throw the ball away on many plays to avoid a sack. This defense is really what kept them in the game. They held them when Nick Singleton fumbled the ball. That one hurt, but they were able to hold Northwestern to just a field goal. That's really what kept them in the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we all know defense wins championships, and Penn State, they have a championship caliber defense. It starts with the defensive line. You got some main guys there, Adisa Isaac. You got Chop Robinson. These are guys that are going to create pressure for the quarterback, which makes it even harder for them to make completions. But the secondary is locked down right now. You got guys up there in Kobe King, Kalen King. It's all over the place. Nobody knows what to do. They can't make any moves on Penn State. They've been solid all around. And the biggest thing that they've done, 26 points given up in the last 3 games. And those are all against Big Ten opponents. It might not be Michigan or Ohio State, but guess what? Penn State has done their job on defense. They've done an exceptional job. And if they're able to keep playing at this high level, giving up 10 or less, 13 points, per game to Northwestern and then 13 for Illinois. 13 points, you're going to be winning a ton of football games this season. And if they're able to keep even somewhat of that up against Michigan or Ohio State, this is a team that can excel to get them to the next level. All the offense has to do is just continue with no turnovers. They're bringing them all the way to the Big Ten title if they can.
Michael, and you mentioned the secondary. I was actually dubious about the secondary to start off this season. I didn't think they were performing at the level that they should be performing at, but they turned that around, especially against Iowa and Northwestern. And you mentioned players like Adisa Isaac, Curtis Jacobs, Abdul Carter, Chop Robinson. They are scary players to play against. And I think quarterbacks going forward will fear playing against those players. And that is something really positive for Penn State's future, especially against teams like Ohio State and Michigan. And we talk about Ohio State. Penn State has the bye week coming up, which has historically been the Nittany Lions' enemy. They have been terrible after the bye week. Last year, they got embarrassed by Michigan following the bye week. This year they've got UMass, a team they should beat based on stats. But what do you need to see, Michael, from the Nittany Lions against UMass heading into their following road match against Ohio State?
What I need to see is a strong start right off the bat. There is no excuses. This is against UMass. This is against a weaker school that you have them coming up into your home as a little preview to get yourselves ready for Ohio State. There is no excuse to start off slow like they did against Northwestern. Penn State has to at least have 20 first half points. This team has to hit the ground running right away. Against Northwestern, they were averaging 3.4 yards per carry on the ground. That's just not going to cut it. Against any Big Ten team. But the ground game is one of their key foundations. And look, there is no taking off. There is no excuse. Last year, unfortunately, they had Michigan right after the bye, which still you got to be ready for. You got to prepare. It's football. There are no excuses for any team. But this year, they have a perfect opportunity to go up against a weaker team and hit them right away. Do not lay back anything. Go all out and be perfectly ready to go for that Ohio State game.
Definitely. It's coming out strong with those explosive plays. They need to treat UMass almost like it's Ohio State. Unfortunately for UMass, it probably won't be a competitive game, and they need to use this time to perfect their plays, come out with those big explosive plays. Like you said, 20 points at least in the first half. There should be no question about this game.
Yeah, and Penn State has been a second-half team to start this season. I want to see them be a first-half team against UMass. That is what's going to be important because against Ohio State, you can't be a second-half team. You have to be a complete game team. So I would really like to see Drew Aller's completion percentage above 70%, into the 80% even, because I think he is going to be key into beating Ohio State, especially with the strong defense Ohio State has. It'll be interesting to see if Penn State can prove the curse wrong and put up a complete game against UMass following the bye week. With Ohio State looming, the Nittany Lions will have to clean up their game to be successful against the Buckeyes. That's a wrap for this edition of Penn State Sports Night. For Michael Landis and Lauren Harth, I'm Cailey Thalman. Thanks for watching and have a great night.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, and follow our socials down below.
And as always, we are
Penn State Sports Night.